Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Dublin Tech Talks. This is a bit of a different take on it. We're now in person in our offices here in Marsamire. We have Pierce Dargan from Equine MediRecord with us today. Hi, Pierce.
Hi, thank you.
So we're going to talk through everything with your business, have a general conversation that we usually do on the podcasts, and we'll try and keep it in person. So we'll try and keep it entertained. So, Pierce, great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us a bit about the business, how it came about, your kind of journey and your story from kind of early days.
Yeah, so gosh, I can't believe it's already been 6 years. So we started back in 2016, was when the company was founded. I was just coming back, finishing a master's in Trinity, and was looking at kind of entrepreneurship and an entrepreneurship module. And there was a competition called the All Tech Innovation Competition. I don't know if it's still going for universities, and you had to look at a specific idea, but around agriculture. And obviously my family having a farm in Kildare with horses, that's where my mind went to. We got the idea for our system, and then really kind of went through the whole process then of Launchbox and New Frontiers and EI, and launched in the middle of 2018.
So fundamentally, the business is a CRM for passports for horses or equine animals.
Exactly. Well, it's essentially the way I say it's everything. It's a platform for everything to do around animal welfare and anti-doping compliance for horses. So that really, it depends on the country. There are loads of different rules, and they vary from country to country, from equine sport to equine sport. And then when you get into big countries like the United States, from state to state. So it's really quite complex. And this was the problem I saw. So Ireland back in 2016 introduced legislation and regulation record. It was quite complicated. So, and it was all paper-based. And so I went back to college. I was doing a master's. Trainer, and he called me and go, "Hey, can you record this I'm in Dublin. You're going to do this yourself." And I just was thinking, this is not have people helping, because he'd be out training the horses, he'd be out looking after the horses.
Keep going. It's still recording.
Is it all good?
We can edit that. Keep going.
Yeah, where did I get that? So
the train is recording. Expected to record it manually.
Exactly. So they're expected to record it manually, come back inside after looking after the horses. And I just thought there's got to be a better way for all this stuff. And especially now that we're seeing more and more regulations around welfare, more and more stuff that you're expected to keep. I just couldn't do it on a paper system. So that's really how the idea came about.
And then day one, sat down and went, okay, how do I digitalize this?
Oh yeah.
And when did you conceptually, how does that start in your mind? Because you're what age? You're a bit about 23,
24.
Starting it, so
just out of college, no real job yet, really. And so I knew I don't have a tech background. I did management in Trinity in my master's. So, and I had the equine kind of industry experience, but I needed some tech. So it was actually really, I was going into college and I was on a Lewis, and I bumped into an old friend from school, Simon Hillary, one of our co-founders. And I kind of told him, like, look, I'm looking at this. I've got my first initial funding from New Frontiers. What do you think? I'd love you to sit in. And he was like, actually, it just so happens I've just finished doing a project for the Irish government, digitizing paper processes. I actually know a lot about this. Wow. Very happy to sit in. And then it was just that chance meeting going into college. And then that was kind of massive help, because we couldn't have done it.
Yeah, because I always find it funny that a lot of startups are obviously non-tech people, and they developing tech startups. There's a couple of people I've spoken to over time, and they just no tech background, but they have the idea and the ideation in their brain, and they bring it forward. And it's very hard to put up a sign to say co-founder wanted, who's a technologist. So,
exactly. But the great thing is, there are also firms who can help you. So there's around the wireframe, obviously, which is kind of your first prototypes.
Yeah.
You know, they obviously it's just a front end. You can't actually do anything with the system. But to go do that, there are a lot of firms who can kind of help you at least get that idea, or even I started doing front end. I went on YouTube and looked up how to make front end prototypes, and so like that doesn't cost a lot of money to just get your idea in front of your customers. So don't go off and actually build the thing and spend a lot of money. Get those kind of front end prototypes, show it, and go, well, look, this is kind of what it would look like. What do you think?
I think that's one of the big mistakes when I talk to people, and over time, it's they build a product that they want to build, and then when they go to market, they realize that that's not what wants to be bought, and they have to like scrap it, rebuild it, and then they're 6 to 12 months further away from where they want to be.
Exactly, or even that, you know, we had a really good talk. I think it was when we were doing the pre-accelerator in the NDRC. And they had someone come in, and it was around a gaming platform around analytics. They went to all the big gaming companies. They said, look, this is what we're going to build. Would you be interested? They all came back. Yes, we'd be interested. Yes, we'd be willing to pay this. So he raised millions, built the platform, came back in 18 months and went, look, I have it now. Will you pay for it? Not a single one of them came and paid for it. So it's a very big difference going and saying, will you pay for this?
Yeah.
Versus I have it now.
Yeah.
Please may you give me some money and take the platform. And we saw that as well. So we had a number of kind of beta customers, you know, trying the system and everything else. And we had churn straight away, because as soon as it's fine to test something, when you actually go, okay, we pay for this now.
Yeah.
A lot of people go, oh, actually,
it's like consulting. You never give free consulting away.
Exactly. So, but that's just part of the gig.
And when did you feel you had a product that people would buy? Because you know you had your beta, you have a really strong background in it, you probably have great contacts in there, but when it's a lot, as you said, it's very difficult for people to say that's really pretty, that's really nice, that's going to great, but now it's going to cost you X a month or a year.
To be honest, it's a tough one. I don't know if you ever know if you are going to have it really comes down to that conversation of I've sent an invoice. Is anyone going to pay the invoice? And that's kind of when we knew we had something, was as soon as we got that first client, actual paying customer, you know, that's when it was, okay, this is actually now a real opportunity here, because we've proven that there's a definite need, people are willing to pay for it. And that's when, you know, one of our co-founders, my brother Pierce Dargan, he was working for KPMG at the time. As soon as we got our first paying customer, he quit his job and came. He's like, yeah, here we go. This is going to be.
So he wasn't in for the first.
No, he's the CFO. So he's risk assessment. You want someone who's doing the risk assessment on the personal level as well. So he's a very good fit. But no, he kind of waited and was watching and seeing, because we've been saying it. Yeah, and he knew as well. He kind of, as everyone had told us, it's a very different thing having an idea. And that's kind of the honeymoon stage, when you have that first idea, everyone's saying how great you are and your idea is amazing and how no one thought about this. And then as soon as you ask people to pay, you know whether you have something.
And the relationship changes as well.
Exactly, because now you have someone, whereas, you know, they're helping you out a little bit. And as soon as you ask them to pay, as soon as you take them out, they're now a customer and they will call you. Or if there's any problem, anything. That's
why I hate recruiting friends. I just anybody when they get friends that request them, I was like, oh no.
Oh, I know. But look, it's an amazing buzz. And then it's kind of then moving on to the next stages from there. And you know, you've done your beta, what's the next thing? Because you've got to get enough initial functionality, you know, to get someone willing to pay for it. But then, you know, okay, what's the next stage to actually start to make this something that you use every single day? So
bro. And you mentioned two things. Actually, I'm going to come back to how to build. I'll come back to that. Your incubation and the NDRC and all those kind of environments. Good, bad, and different. Is it something that you'd recommend people to get through? Is there other options that people mightn't actually see? You know, is it the golden nugget that everybody thinks you need to get to a incubator, or you need to get to somewhere? Or what's your thought on that?
I think it really depends on the person, the startup, the team that's involved. I was just out of college. I had and still have a lot to learn. So I needed them. Like, I look back now and look, I came out of college, master's in business. Oh, I know everything about business. And once you actually go into the world, it couldn't be further from the case from what you've learned versus what you're actually doing. So for us, and Simon but he had just recently graduated. He had his first kind of job freelance. But we needed that kind of guy. None of us had started a business before. None of us had thought around, registering the business, all the legal side, the admin side, sales and marketing, all this stuff. We really needed quite a lot of help. Hence why, we did quite a few incubators. As I said, we did New Frontiers phase 1 in the Media Cube in IATT, which was great. Into Trinity College with Launchbox, which was phenomenal, kind of being paid during the summer to work on the idea, and then straight into New Frontiers phase 2, and then after that, kind of priming grants and working with the local enterprise office. So for us, it was really important because I'd never started a business. So I think it really depends. And then there are certain ones as well where it can be a little bit hit and miss in terms of, because if you do multiple ones, sometimes they may go over the same material again, and you're going, just heard a lot of this material having done one of these other programs. But I also think it's more important as well, meeting the other people starting businesses, because a lot of the time it doesn't really matter what sector you're in. If you're that early stage, you're going to have the same problems. You're going to have the same things. Or what accountants are you using? What lawyers are you using? And you'll be able to find out where
there's a lot in a business people don't know. Like your accounts, even audited accounts, legal contracts, everything in the middle that people forget about, like that. And it's expensive. Like I know ourselves, like it can be very expensive if you get caught in something, or you want it, like your first contract that you want to get out has to be written by a firm. They're probably just pressing control paste, but for you it's new. So there's lots of those expenses in there. So if there was an ecosystem there, it's really important for people to know.
Massively important, because then you find out the companies who are willing to kind of give a discounted price, because they're going, okay, we may not make money on this company to begin with, but if it grows, we're willing to put in that initial investment, at least kind of break even on ourselves, thinking that this company may go on. But I just think in terms of, and there are people who we went through those cohorts with, and I still talk to them today, and I still kind of see what their initial thoughts were and how they went on. Unfortunately, a lot of those businesses are no longer around. It's just, that's the way.
But it's a good ecosystem. It's good alumni to have. I'm guessing your school, there's a lot of people that even Simon that you met was ex school. Like it is really important to have that kind of connections, not just on LinkedIn connections, but actual connections that you can call on and draw on. I'm guessing there's a few people that you still can draw on from those incubators.
Oh yeah, hugely. And especially I'd be very kind of proactive in terms of re-engaging. Like I try and go back into Launchbox. I've done it every year, even during COVID, I think it was via Zoom. Every time I get asked to go in and speak, I'm always happy to, not only because I got so much from talking to other founders who had come before and kind of raising those things that you said a lot of people don't think about at the beginning, because it's not the nice marketing, sales, where's the money coming from it? It's all the back end that you have to do. But also to kind of engage with those newer businesses and kind of look and see what's coming on, see, what's going to be interesting, especially in our sector. And I love also supporting where I'm in agriculture. It's a very conservative industry. And so the amount of people who actually will beta test something is very, very small. So sharing that and going, look, these are the horse owners, or these the horse trainers, or these the kind of equestrian athletes who will be willing, versus these ones will not test anything until it's 100% verified, working, good, endorsed. And that's, as you know, in any market, early adopters, and then everyone lags until you get your traction.
And do you have competitors? Is this a unique product, or is there something similar, or is it just what you've built has been?
I don't see any direct competitors. We're in a relatively small market. It's a niche market. We've kind of put our name out there as kind of the go-to for kind of equine software when it comes to compliance. So we don't have really any direct competitors. There are some complementary products, but not really. We're kind of in a nice position where, because we're in that niche, and because we expanded internationally quite quickly, And now we're part of the largest, equine veterinary software group in the world. With the investment we raised for business infusions, we're kind of set, I feel, as that kind of, we're the ones kind of doing that. And if someone wants to come in, it's going to be relatively difficult just because of the size of the market. But
you're rubbing all my questions here. So size of the market. Ireland is a big player internationally in say in equine, but it's a small country. So was it focused, get your product right in Ireland and then focus internationally, or what way did you kind of go to market on that?
Exactly. So the great thing was we weren't doing, some industry that internationally Ireland wasn't playing. So if you had done, certain, I don't know, big fintech, even though Ireland isn't as strong, people go, well, why are we buying from the from America or China or wherever? Whereas on the equine side, we are global leader. Top most winningest Group 1 thoroughbred trainer is Aidan O'Brien from our large thoroughbred breeding operation in Coolmore in Ireland. So when we started to approach internationally, clients, and then we started and expanded. We knew we had to expand quickly. So
and feet in the ground, you going out shaking hands, talking to everybody and anybody.
Cold calling. So literally we had a list of numbers, and I remember just we blast an email and then I follow up with a phone call. And 9 times out of 10 it was not interested, hang up. Who's this? No thank you, hang up. Which I understand, like farmers are some of the busiest people in the world. They do not have time, and they get inundated with stuff, especially on the horse side, which they just don't need. And so we were kind of classified as the, oh gosh, here's another thing that we're trying to get sold. So they didn't even want to talk. But like, we were very fortunate. 1 out of 20 would give me an opportunity in chat, and then we started to get those initial numbers. And as soon as we got kind of what I like to call the thought leaders in the industry, like we have Willie Mullins now, champion Irish trainer who's publicly endorsed us, one of our ambassadors, Nicky Henderson in the UK, James Fanshawe. And once we started building up those names, we actually started to see it's a very small industry. So if something works,
they'll all come back to you.
So a lot of it's inbound, now.
Brilliant. And speaking with entrepreneurs, like international business is different and hard. And what a lot of people in Ireland, they seem to do is focus on Ireland and forget that it's only a pebble in. How did you find dealing internationally? Was there is it enjoyable? Is it hard? What was the kind of point where you went, actually, shit, I'm a CEO of a business now and it's working, and when was that kind of point of, shit, we have a business here and it's going really well? And then the funding part and behind that, when did you realize that you had to partner with somebody to make it super growth?
So I enjoyed the travel side. My family moved around when I was a child. My father left Ireland in 1970, so I actually grew up outside of Ireland for 12 years before coming back for school. So I really enjoyed that side, getting to fly around, see new cultures, meet new people. It really depends what country you're dealing with, whether it's different or not. Like going and selling in the US, it's not actually that much of a difference, and especially because they love Irish people over there. So you got such a warm welcome, and Enterprise Ireland has such a strong office over there. That was fine. Europe, kind of more similar, very fortunate. My brother speaks fluent French, so when we were dealing with the French, we do the meetings in French. And then when you look further kind of east to the Middle East and Asia, that's where you do have to learn a lot. We've had discussions in Japan. We've had discussions. Obviously, we secured a contract with Saudi Arabia. There's just a lot of etiquette things you need to learn. things you should do, things you 100% shouldn't do. And that is kind of a learning curve of going, okay, I've got to be, respectful of the people I'm meeting.
Yeah.
What is the cultural norm in these countries I'm going to? And just being aware of that and just making sure, okay, I'm going to Japan, I'm going to the Middle East. What is the expectation here when I first meet them? Is it a shake of a hand? Is it, bowing your head? Who do I shake hands with first? How should I sit? Yeah. And these are really important things that people overlook because it sounds silly, right? It's like, wait a sec, how I sit is going to be important. But in certain countries, yes. In certain countries, crossing legs, sign of disrespect. So you just got to be really aware of the culture that you're going into. But I love that. I love kind of going in, and I've been very fortunate to travel the world and kind of see these different places and meet amazing people and go to horse events that I love.
It's not really a job. You love doing it. So it's when did you realize that either did the funding come to you? Did you go to the funding? And when did you realize actually this is the amount we can do? This is our peak point without actually raising. When was that kind of not aha moment? Like when was that, or did somebody tap you on the shoulder?
So when COVID hit, we had to survive. So equine sport was shut down for a number of months. The Olympic Games was pushed back. Obviously, equestrian no travel. It was just chaos, and so we had to lay off. Most of our team had to go either part-time or be laid off, including my business partner, my own brother. So that was a really difficult time. And we kind of realized coming out of COVID, we'd survived and we'd done it. But to then kind of grow organically, then it would take a long time. So we kind of knew, okay, to make sure that we kind of bounce back from COVID and continue our international growth, we need some funding in here. As I said, equine's a niche market. Yeah. So trying to get VC funding into a niche market is tough. It is really tough. And so from our perspective, it was very much angel. Do we go angel and raise with a number of big angels from the industry? Because obviously there are some wealthy individuals in the horse space. Or do we look at, some of the companies who are the global leaders right now? And we were very fortunate. We were already partnered with Business Infusions, who are the largest equine veterinary software group in the world. We were supposed to do a project with them, and then COVID came in and blew that up. So, but we've been talking about it, engaging with them, and they sold to a private equity fund called Merit Holdings at the end of 2021. And so I was speaking with Scott Pickard, who's the CEO, and he said, "Look, we sold. Yeah. Would you be interested in, having a discussion with our new owner, looking at potentially getting an investment and becoming part of the group?" Yeah. I said, "I'm a businessman. Sure, let's have a discussion." But it took a long time. Yeah. I'd say kind of at least 10 months. It's a long, long slog. And that's what everyone says. Everyone who says raise money, look, be prepared. It's going to take twice as long. And it's have your shit together, because you have to. They look at everything, won't they? Oh, we went through a number of rounds of due diligence. Yeah, I'd say 3 or 4. Just because of the size of the round, obviously it was a multi-million euro round, and not just finance. It's also IP. It's also everything, legal, everything. Yeah, contracts, everything. Back all the way to the start of it. Now we were very fortunate. We were a young business. We only started training in 2018. So, but literally they look at, because they're coming in and this is their money, and I would do the exact same. Look at Musk with Twitter. Like, you think Twitter would have their game together, and he's going, I'm not touching this. Exactly. So, I totally understand why, and they have to do that because, they have a duty to their, shareholders and the people, investors who gave them money, to make sure that everything we say and claiming is true. So, but it was, they wanted to get the best deal for their shareholders and investors. We obviously wanted the best deal for us and our shareholders. So, of course, there are going to be arguments, disagreements, everything, but look, it's worth it in the end. Yeah, I think going into a partnership with it, without an argument is probably a wrong way to do it, because
if you fall over easily, they're going, "Grant, we'll just steamroll here."
Yeah.
And vice versa. You want to have that kind of conversation, and
but it's honesty as well.
Yeah.
You're not being honest if you're not coming back. And the biggest thing as well, kind of, I found, doing this and becoming part of their group, you got a voice when you're not happy. And if you're there, it will just lead to a bigger argument down the line. So you got to come in and just say when you're not happy, or when something's a red line, and you go, no, don't play any games, because there's going to be enough arguments anyway. But you just got to be honest.
And you're quite young as well, so they probably were like, okay, great, there's a deal on the table here. This guy doesn't know anything.
Well, the good news was, I won't lie, my brother Finley, who was the CFO, he had worked in KPMG in M&A. So a lot of the negotiations, if not all, my brother was going, okay, Pierce, you don't need to be on this call. Go focus on the business. Go focus on the contract we have. I can handle this. But that's his job as CFO. Because a lot of this stuff, was going through projection and financials and everything. Like, that's his job as CFO to kind of handle that. And so he had a lot more gray hairs at the end of the negotiations than at the beginning.
So now you have your investment. You become part of a bigger. What's 2.0? What is? Yeah, when we see you in 24, where's the business gone to, or what's that?
Well, like I've said, and I've said this for years now. I think I did the Horse Tech conference. I did a talk. I think it was 2020, because I remember being via Zoom, because it was supposed to be in person, but obviously with COVID. And I said, where I see the massive leap forward in our industry, like, we have a lot of really good systems doing individual things. So really siloed. So like us, we're compliance, animal welfare, and anti-doping, and they're all these systems that are doing really good things in their own individual, but they don't speak to each other.
Yeah.
And so all the data is siloed, and and you're getting massive repetition for a vet who has to put in a treatment into his invoicing to then give it to us to then go. I just see where this industry goes forward, and especially with IoT, with some of the devices, tracking health and heartbeat and stride and everything. You gotta link these together. Companies have to start working together for the good of the actual end client. And that's where you see a massive leap forward, just like what you saw in the fintech space, and banking. Once you saw these platforms, when you go on to AIB, you think it's all AIB, but it's like 10 different fintech technologies to make that platform what it is. And that's where I see really
like a general ecosystem.
Exactly. A tech infrastructure for the whole industry, because right now you have one little thing kind of doing something very well, paper stuff in the middle, another thing, paper stuff and processes. Because you just kind of go and link these, and you don't need that, because that's where you get transcription errors, you get lost data, you get things being communicated incorrectly, people making mistakes, and then it being all over the news saying, "Oh, this guy's a cheat," or this horse is duck, and it's just a simple admin error. Yeah. So that's
because it would be seen in the industry as pretty, not archaic, but slow to adapt. The trainers are pretty older. There's the newer trainers coming through. They'll look at new techniques, but it is very much seen as traditional.
It's agriculture. So at the Pound Championships, the last one, which is this week, of course, in 2019, they did a study. I can't remember who did it, but he showed a study that was done, I think, by McKinsey, and it was showing adoption of technology through the industries.
Yeah,
agriculture was dead last, with just black box, black box, black box, black box, black box. It's just the way it is. We're naturally conservative.
Yeah,
just rural communities.
Cost adverse as well.
Of course.
And margin business,
of course. So it's just something where I think that COVID actually really was a help in some ways, because it was the first time certain people would use technology. Because if they wanted to speak to their family, they had to go on Zoom. If they wanted to, travel, or you couldn't bring a paper document. You had to do the declaration online. So, and you had to have an email to do that. So I think that we definitely saw a lot less resistance after COVID. And that's why we got our contract. We got, our Pegasus World Cup, Preakness Stakes, Saudi Cup. All these came in 2021. Yeah. And I think a lot of it was because a lot of people went, no, digital is the way.
Yeah.
Before that, I was still getting, this has been paper for 250 years. It will be paper in 250 years. Yeah. We're not going to move. And the same people have now come on, and they're not there. And I think the big thing that I've always said from our industry is we do have some issues. I'm totally aware that we have some problems we need to face. but a lot of them are just, inefficiencies in that.
Yeah.
And it can be easily solved with adopting some technology that already exists and is already out there and proven,
So
so.
that's how most change happens in industry. Like banking,
Oh yeah.
20 years ago,
Yeah.
pre-crash,
Yeah.
everybody was the same. Now everybody wants to get a piece of the pie in there. It's similar to, farming. Like, look at the guys, Kindness, they were, the ag tech for well-being of animals. That, like, because it is such a fine margin business, especially kind of farming, any long-term savings people can get, I'm guessing they'll adapt sooner or later. And also the age of people who are doing it is getting younger. There isn't that many young farmers, but they are coming back to the market.
Oh, they are. And I think, say take farming, we've now been given a target of hitting 25% emissions target by the government. The only way that's going to hit is through adopting ag tech. There is no other way. And the thing is, it isn't there are proven solutions that have been in the market that can help reduce emissions. The one I always kind of go to is slurry aeration. Up to I've seen 40%. If you can bring in the systems there to help with aerating slurry, right there you hit your target. But the whole thing is you need the support. You see the billions that are going in to help reduce emissions for transport. Whether that's kind of private investment, public investments, tax exemptions, reduction on VAT, or in certain countries no VAT on electric cars. But you don't see that investment on the agricultural side.
And they probably have as aggressive, if not more aggressive targets.
Exactly. And also we all need to eat. Every single person in Ireland and the world needs a farmer 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And if you don't have that, very quickly that you want to have a strong farming community and farming industry. So it's interesting to me that things like aerating slurry, you still have VAT on it. If you took the VAT off, just take the VAT off putting in those systems.
You save it straight away.
Straight away, because there are systems, from the EU, but like I was at the Ag Tech innovation dinner yesterday and ahead of the.
And you're in Europe last week as well.
Exactly, and I said, I don't know if I'll get invited back, but I did say it. I did say it to the European politicians, because it's an easy thing where you have all these schemes for agriculture, and this is one where it's very, very topical, and the farming community is getting pressure from the society at large. Sometimes in cases where they're saying things like, "Oh, farmers are a big problem," I'm going, where do you think your food comes from?
Yeah.
Do you think it magically appears on your plate? Even if we're talking about avocado, that's from a farmer, and we're not supporting them. We're not giving them those schemes where even if you wanted to reduce your emissions, you're not being given the same support as someone who's getting an electric car.
Well, I'm from Dublin, born and bred.
The
food not just magic.
No, unfortunately not. It does need to be, but even vegetables come from farmers as well, because I've had a lot of people go, "Oh, well, you can go vegan." Sorry to say, all your vegan stuff comes from farmers as well. Sorry to break.
Not a truck.
No,
I'm shocked.
Yeah. No, exactly. So, but it's just I don't understand why something as easy as that. I was in, I believe it was Norway pre-COVID. There was a conference there for European horse racing, and the amount of electric cars, like every single car, I'd say 70% of the cars you saw were electric, and they have electric on the license plate. And you go, well, geez, why are there so many more electric cars? And it's like, well, Norway has one of the largest VAT on cars, I think globally. What cars don't have VAT?
Yeah, the
electric cars.
Yeah.
So everyone adopts them. So it's something where it's a simple solution, not having VAT on proven solutions that will help reduce emission for farmers. I don't know.
You're going to be a politician. So.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Shift the business.
No.
When that finishes up, you can see. I can see it.
I like finding solutions. Now that I've done it, I've done it, and it was something that everyone always says to me, "Oh, such a simple idea. Why has no one thought of it? Just didn't try it." But it just doesn't get done. And it's just things like that where I'm going, I don't understand why you've seen it in other, as I said, the one I always go back to is transport. So much money is invested, time, effort, and it's transport versus our actual food system, which every single person on planet Earth needs, and we're not giving it the same time and investment. It just doesn't make sense. But I am from Kildare, so I am biased.
Okay, I'll just check this out. I know you have to go. So, last question. 3 biggest learnings in the 6 years. 6 years?
6 years. Yeah.
That it took you to get from A to Z.
Yeah.
What would be your 3 biggest things that you'd look back and go, I wish either I could have done that sooner, better, or just general learnings that you'll always take with you?
Well, the first general learning in the beginning is everything will take twice as long and cost twice as much if you're starting a tech business.
Yeah.
Just be prepared first. Everything will be delayed. Everything will cost more. It's just the way it is. And I've spoken that with multiple people across various, and it doesn't matter what type of tech you're doing, always the same. So just be prepared. Same with raising funding, by the way, it will take twice as long and twice as much energy. I think as well, and I wish I'd done it, and it was really, it was once again at the pre-accelerator with NDRC. I won't name her just in case, but just be open to learning.
Yeah.
I came out of college, as I said, and I thought I knew it all because I'd done, and they kind of tell you, oh, now you have your master's in business, you know everything about business. Not true. Academic business versus the real world is totally different. And I had someone who, was lovely, really, and I needed it, told me, Pierce, you have 2 ears, use them.
Yeah.
Stop talking. Stop trying to say you know everything. And I think as a young entrepreneur, a lot of people do that. They think saying, I don't know, or I need help is a weakness and will show people, oh, that's weak, that he doesn't know. They're not expecting you to know everything. So don't worry about it. It's actually a strength to show what you know, and even more about what you don't know.
Actually, it's one of the first things I learned in my early days in recruitment was shut the fuck up. You don't need to have an opinion about everything.
Exactly. And it's something, it's a strength. Like we had investors and mentors when I go and I go, look, I don't know about the financial systems in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Could you have someone help? Do I need to set up a subsidiary in Saudi because we're going to do a contract in Saudi? They're not expecting you to know that. And it's a strength to be able to go to those people and they go, okay, it's nice that he actually recognizes that he needs some help on this. So I think the biggest, as I said, is just be open to that learning, especially if you're an entrepreneur coming out of college and you haven't. Go and try and speak to as many people as possible across industries who have started businesses and get their feedback.
And third?
Enjoy it.
Yeah. Enjoy it.
Like, I know how stressful it is, and I made this problem as well where, and I don't blame entrepreneurs for doing this or start businesses, you've got to be showing everything's positive on social media because you want companies to go, oh yeah, we can do a contract with them. They'll still be around in 6 months' time. Yeah. So everything is that while everything's burning in the background, everything's great. And so you can get caught up looking and going, why is no one else having the struggles that we're having? Why is no one else really having the pain of getting on the phone call and 19 times out of 20 being told to go away? But in those good moments, that first paying customer, the first kind of contract outside of Ireland, those kind of, for us, getting to go to things like, the Saudi Cup, Breeders' Cup, and Championships, greatness.
The really low level events.
Oh yeah, those or Dublin Horse Show, or getting to go to the Arc in France in a couple of weeks. All these things.
But they're very jealous here. Yeah, but that's a horsey bag.
I love horses, but this is. I didn't appreciate it enough. The good time, and you'll have good times. Enjoy them because it's tough. It is really tough because you don't see everyone who isn't in the startup scene doesn't see the stress in the background that you're going through. They just see positive.
I was listening to a podcast with Shane Lowry, actually, the No Laying Up podcast, and he actually said precisely the same thing there. enjoy your wins because they're so few and far between.
Exactly.
You know, as a professional sports player, you see that, but in a business as well, you don't have the hockey stick like everybody thinks, like the rats have. Like you do have your W's and
system will go down.
Yeah.
Client will be annoyed with something will happen.
You win a contract, you lose another contract, you think the life is over.
Yeah.
I guys with champagne and razor blades, like it's yeah.
It's so true. I called it the roller coaster.
Yeah.
It is the roller coaster when in terms of the highs are very high, but the lows are low.
Yeah.
Because it's yours and it's your reputation, your business. So on the highs, enjoy it because it will pass. And on the lows, stick at it because that will pass too. So just be.
But you can so I could across you, but you can see why you've been successful. You're very passionate about what you do, and you love what you do, and you're lucky enough to be able to make it a job.
Yeah.
So you know that is similar to myself. I love my career and what I've done, and it's my job and it pays my bills. It's great, you know. But not everybody can be as fortunate as that. So it's you know the passion you show, and you can see why you've been successful. Because I'd say once you put your head down and get going, it's hard work, but it's enjoyable.
Exactly, and it means when you're doing the 2 a.m. in the morning calls with your 10 team going, why isn't this working? We're you know we got a contract to finish in 2 weeks, and you know going down to Saudi, and you know we need to make sure this works. You know, and especially we had a contract where the whole team got COVID and we had a deadline. And it was like a strict deadline, and we're all absolutely dying on this call. We couldn't speak. Like a couple of our developers were typing in chat because they couldn't even talk.
Yeah.
And you're just going, oh my God. Like, is this worth it? And then you get to actually go to the event, and it is worth it. But it's be prepared for those downtimes because they're because you're by yourself and it's on you. That's the biggest thing. If you've started your own business, very different from someone who's leading a project in a company. If it doesn't work, it can go up the chain, or if it doesn't work when it's your business, it's you.
Yeah, but when it does work, it's
also you as well.
Yeah,
so
exactly. That's what I like.
But
no, Pierce, really nice speaking to you. I'll let you get down to the Plough Championship before you get given out to.
Yeah.
Massive congratulations on the business. I can see it in 2 or 3 years being double or triple the size of it now. So
hopefully that's the plan.
no, Pierce, thanks, Mel, and we'll talk again soon.
Perfect. Thank you very much.